Hey y'all, hey boys and girls, it's Mrs. Yao, and we are going to be starting a brand new topic for reading skills this week. Today we're going to start learning about something called comparing and contrasting. So let's take a look at our anchor chart that we're going to use to help us over the next several weeks with learning how to compare and contrast. So comparing and contrasting is something that you've done before. You just may not have realized that it was called comparing and contrasting. When you compare something, you're telling how things are similar or how they are alike or how they are the same. When you contrast something, so that's this word right here, contrast. When you contrast something, you're telling how things are different. We do this all the time. You just probably didn't realize that it was called comparing and contrasting. So when you're comparing and contrasting in stories, or when you're saying comparisons and contrasts, you will sometimes use clue words to help you to compare those things. So some of those clue words are like, both, similar, also, same, to, alike, as well as, most important, or have in common. Some words that you may use when you're telling how things are different or when you're contrasting things are words like but, although, while, instead, yet, unlike, unless, differ, whereas, on the other hand, even though. Do you recognize any of these words that you've seen maybe in your reading as you were reading stories, and in the stories they started to compare and contrast things? I bet you see some words that you've seen before in your stories. All right, next I'm going to show you a tool that we're going to use to help us organize our information when we compare and contrast. You actually can see it right here in the middle of our anchor chart. So I'm going to show you another slide that explains what this Venn diagram is in more depth. Okay, boys and girls, this is the tool that we are going to use to help us to organize our information when we are comparing and contrasting. This is called a Venn diagram. Say that with me, Venn diagram. So a Venn diagram, what is basically made up of two circles. So you can see this first circle here, right here, that I'm circling with my mouse. And then you see the second circle, and you can see how in the middle, both of those circles overlap. So our first circle is where we would put our first title. So if we were comparing and contrasting two stories, this is where we would write the first title of our first story. Or if we were comparing and contrasting two objects or two things, we would write what the first object is in our first circle. In our second circle, this is where we would write the second title of our story or our second object that we are comparing and contrasting. So when you compare, remember you're telling how things are the same. So if I were comparing two objects, when I find something that is the same, I'm going to put the things that are the same about both of those objects in the middle of my circle, where my two circles are overlapping, because those things are going along with what this object or what this title is, and they're the same about what this object or what this title of the story is. So since they're the same about both of those things, we have to include them in both circles. And since the two circles overlap, it means that that object or what we're putting in there is the same about both things. Remember when we contrast, so right here when we contrast, we're telling how things are different. So if I'm telling something about a story or about an object and it is not the same as my other story or my other object, I'm going to put it in the circle that goes along with that story or that object. So if something is different about the first thing and it's not the same as the second object, I would put it in this circle, somewhere in this circle, but not in the middle, because remember, the middle means that those things are the same. So I have to put it in this outside area of this circle. Let's say I'm comparing and contrasting something and the second object has something that's different about it that's not the same as the first object. So for that, I would put it in my second circle. So I know this is kind of confusing when you first see it, so we're actually going to do some examples. So I want you to take a look at these two people that I have placed on my slide. How are we the same and how are we different is what we want to think about these two people. Well, one thing I can see is that one person is younger, they're a kid, and the other person is older, they're an adult. So let's look at my Venn diagram. So this is a boy and this is a man. So on my Venn diagram, in my first circle, since that's the first picture, I have put boy to show that these things are going to be about the boy. In my second circle, I typed man because these things in this circle are going to be about just this man. But if I want to say something about both of them that's the same, remember, I'm going to put those in the middle circle. So I've labeled the middle where they overlap as both. So remember, we said that this boy is younger and this man is older. So let's go ahead and add those to our circles. So since the boy is younger, I'm going to put younger here on the boy side. I can't put it in the middle because they're not the same. We said the man is older, so we're going to put him here in this circle to show that that's how he's different from the boy. All right, let's look back at the boy and the man again. Do you see anything else that's different about them? Check out their hair. This boy has brown hair and the man has black hair. So I think I can probably add that to my Venn diagram also. So remember, we said the boy has brown hair, so I'm going to put that in my circle. Remember, I can't put it in the middle because they're not the same. And we said the man has black hair, and since that's different, I'm going to add it to the outer circle for man. All right. What else? Is there anything else that we see that's different? Oh, the boy has glasses. The man does not have glasses. So let's look at the boy, or back at the Venn diagram, and I'm going to add that the boy has glasses. Okay. Now let's look back again, and I see that the man has a mustache, but the boy does not have a mustache. He's too young to have a mustache. He hasn't grown facial hair yet. So I'm going to add mustache to the man side. Okay, let's look back. All right, so looking back now, what else do I see about the man and the boy? Well, one thing I see that is alike is they're both people, right? They're both humans. So let's add that to the middle of our Venn diagram, because remember, the middle is what's the same about both of them. So I'm going to add people to the middle because they're both people. One's not a person and one's not an animal. They're both people. All right, what else? They're both boys, or in this case, we should say they're both males. Remember, males means the boy gender. So I'm going to look at my Venn diagram and I'm going to add boys or males to the middle because that tells one way that they are the same. All right, let's look back again. Do we see anything that's the same or different about them? The boy has red shoes and the man has black shoes. Is that the same or is that different? That's right, those are different. So back on my Venn diagram, I'm going to add red shoes to the boy side and black shoes to the man's circle. All right, let's look and see if we have any more things that we can add. Let me look for something that's the same. Oh, look, he has blue overalls and he has a blue shirt. Now that could be different because we could say he has blue overalls and a yellow shirt. So that's different from what he's wearing. But I want to add it to the same because they are both wearing blue. So on my chart, I'm going to move wearing blue here to the middle to show that that is the same. Now I could put over here in my chart, if I had more space, I could put yellow shirt, blue shirt, overalls, and black pants, but I just don't have enough space. And I could keep going on and on and on and on and on and on, finding all kinds of ways that they are the same and that they are different. But I think you guys probably have the idea now about what we mean when we are comparing and contrasting. So great job today. Real quick review. Remember to compare means that you are telling how things are similar, which means the same or alike. And contrast means that you are telling how things are different. And what's the name of that special tool that we use to organize our information? The two circles where they overlap? That's right. It's called a Venn diagram. Venn diagram. All right. Great job today, guys. I hope that you are going to have a lot of fun with comparing and contrasting here in the future. Have a great day.